Okay, now this is the time to run the app and see what we have created so far. It is not much, but we'll see. So let's run the app by clicking on this play button or run app. And I'm using physical devices here because I don't have emulator. But if you have emulator, you can use the emulator to run the app. Okay, so let's click on OK. Okay, the NoteMe app is created here, installed here. So double click on app and you should see, okay, the app is crashed. Now let's see what happened here. Go to Logcat and you can see it is saying that activity already has an action bar supplied by the Windows decor. That means I forgot to set the style to no action bar. Okay, so go to values, styles, and here instead of dark action bar, just change it to no action bar. Okay, so now we can run our app and see. And here you can see the NoteMe app is created and with the empty main activity. Okay, so RecyclerView, since we have not include anything right now, we have not created the adapter and so on, so it is not showing anything. And also you can notice the menu we had created, but it is not showing. Okay, so for menu to be shown here, we need to write the inflator for menu. Okay, so let's go to main activity, and to display the options menu in the main activity, we need to register that menu first. So for that, we need to override on create menu option on create options menu here in the main activity, and inside that we need to register our menu by calling menu inflator. And here, instead of returning this on create options menu, we need to return true. So now we when we run the app, we will see the menu in the toolbar. Okay, so let me run the app and show you. Okay, here you can see the plus button is here, and now we can click on this, but nothing is happening because we need to handle that on click also. So for that, we need to override other method called on create on item selected, on item selected, on options item selected. Okay, so here we can use, if we have multiple menus, we can use switch, otherwise we can just simply use if else condition. So if item dot get item id, so we are going to get the item id of whatever the menu that has been clicked, and we are going to compare that with the menu that we have created in the menu file. Okay, so using that we can identify the which menu item is clicked. Okay, so r.id dot we can check whatever the menu id is from here, add menu. So it is probably we can see it is id is having add. So let me just use add here. We will display some test toast message. Okay, so add button is clicked. Okay, so now let me run the app and see what happens when we click on that plus button. Okay, let me show you the app, and let's click on this menu button, and you can see we can see the dialog that add button is clicked or toast. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start new activity that we have already created, add node activity, when somebody click on this button. Okay, so for that we need to go to this on options item selected method, and here I can start new activity whenever somebody click on this item. Okay, so for that I need to use intent I equals to new intent, and we need to pass two arguments here. First one is the context, that is this context, this our main activity dot class, and the next one is the class that we actually need to go. Okay, so that is add node dot class, and after that we need to start the activity. For that we can simply use start activity method here, that simply take the intent as argument. Now whenever somebody click on that plus button, they will be redirected to the add node activity. So let's run this app and see. Okay, so app is running. Okay, I'll just click on this. We are in the add node application activity, add node activity, and we can add the edit details. Yes. Okay, but these forms are not active yet. We need to set the form and insert the data into the database. So that we are going to do now. Let me close this. So we have added node activity into our main activity, so that whenever somebody click on plus button, they will be sent to the add node activity and they can add new node there. But our fields are not active yet because we have not given we have not connected that edit text field to our database, right? So now let us connect our fields, get the data, whatever user type in that edit text field, and we'll take that data, we'll create new node, and we'll insert that node into the database. So for that, we need to follow a few things. The first things I want is when somebody start typing the node title, I want that title to be appear in the toolbar. So for that, we need to use text listener. So here, node title that add text change listener. On text change, we are going to get whatever user type in this node title edit text field, and we are going to set that to the title of the add node. Okay, so for that we need to check the condition. Here it is giving us the charge sequence, whatever user typed in that node title field. Okay, so if the s dot length we can use get support action bar dot set title, and we are simply going to pass the title that we want to set, that is s in our case. Okay, so in the beginning, instead of displaying, let me show you. Instead of displaying this note me, I want to display new node, get support action bar, let's say title and new note. Okay, so let me run the app and show you what this add text change listener do. So here the app is building and now it is running. So I'll click on the plus button, will be sent to the add node activity, and here in the title you can see it is displaying new node instead of note me. So now I'll type something here, that whenever somebody types something here, it will change in the toolbar title. Okay, so that is the point. And now with node title and node details, we also need a node date and the time, so that we can set that node created time and date in the database, so that we can show that in our recycler view. Let me show you the screenshot of what I'm talking about. So we need to set this node creation date and node creation time, right? So for that we need to whenever somebody click add new node, we'll get the current time and current date, and we'll send that to our database. So for that we need calendar, we need to use calendar. So let me create the calendar variable. Calendar, let me just call it as C. And now what I want is I want to create date I want to get year, month, and date. So here I'm going to do that. Okay, so let's just give this comment here, and C equals to, we need to get the instance of the calendar get instance, today's date. It will be of the type string. So let me declare this first. String, and let me paste that today's date variable. Okay, so here what I want to do is I want to get the current year, month, and calendar, and I want to show that in the format of month, date, and year. Okay, so let me get the date. So for that we can use c.get method, that is calendar get method. So calendar dot get calendar dot year plus c.get calendar dot month c.get. Inside that we need to get calendar dot day of month. It will get the current date, today's date. Okay, so today's date will contain the date in the format of year, month, and day. And now we also need to get a time. So for that I'll create one more string variable called current time. Okay, so this current time variable will hold the current time whenever it is called. So c.get calendar dot hour plus c.get calendar dot minute. Okay, but here the calendar is starting from 0 to 11. Okay, so that's why we need to increment it by 1, otherwise it will just display the month as, you know, less than 1. Okay, so +1 means 0. If this is currently it is August, so it will display as 8. If I don't use this +1, it will display as 7. And here in the time and the hour, so whenever it is less than 10, I want to display 0 in front of that number. Okay, so for that I'm going to use one method that is called pad. We'll just add the extra pad. Okay, so now I need to create this function. Let me create this. So it will take the integer as the argument. So if I is less than 10, I want to return I want to return 0 in front of I. Okay, so plus I, otherwise I'll simply return I. Okay, let me just return the string dot value of I. Okay, so I want to log this and see if we are getting current date or not. So log d, let me call this date and time. plus today's date and current time, and let me give it calendar. Okay, so let me run this app. Here go to from here go to this new node, node activity, add node activity, and go to log, select this one and type our tag, that is calendar, and you can see we are getting the current date and time, right? Okay, so now we can pass this data into our database and we can add that to our table. Okay, so now our add node activity have everything we need, like no title, no details, and we have set the current date and time. But we also need to set few things. Here you can see we have menu and back button, right? So whenever these menus are used to save or discard the changes in the node, and this back button is used to go to the main activity. So let me quickly add that first. So I'll add the option menu first. So we have done that before, so you can create new menu here. So I'll create the new menu resource file called that one save menu. Click on OK. And here I'm going to add two things, that is for delete and add. Okay, so the first one will be delete, and it will be displayed as in the toolbar. And this one will be for save option, save menu, what the save, and it will be displayed in toolbar as well. Okay, so I want to set icon for this, and so you can guess we can create that icon from here, vector asset. And last time we had created this plus. Now I'll create two buttons. One is check to save, next finish, and another one is delete icon. This one, next, finish. Okay, I'll set the icon now. I'll go to this icon menu and click on delete. And for this one, okay, so now we need to register this menu. And let me copy the same code from main activity. Okay, but instead of add menu, we'll use save menu. Okay, this will display that menu in our toolbar, and we also need to handle the click. So I'll just copy this on options menu selected, on option item selected, and paste here. And we don't need this intent right now. And instead of this, I'll check two condition here. First one is for save, and second one is for add, save and delete, right? So delete, delete button, save button, right? So I need to change this to save. And now we are ready to use our options menu. So let me show you this by running the app. Okay, the app is running, and go to our add activity, and here I can click on save button or delete button. Okay, so I can also notice this new note is displaying in the black color, so I want to change it to white. And also the back button is not shown here, so I'll just set up that also. I can change the color of the title, toolbar title, using a toolbar variable. So go to toolbar dot set title text color, and I need to set the white color. So for that, I'm going to create one color resources here, and let me call this one as white, and I will uh, set the white color hex property. So now I can use this. Let me go close this, all of the file that we have created and not using. So here I need to use a get resource dot get color r dot color dot white. Okay, now it will change that toolbar title color. So let me run the app and show you. Now go to this. Yeah, now you can see new note is displaying in white color. That is much better. Okay, so I'll also enable that back button. So get support action bar that display home up as enabled and pass true as the boolean argument. And also we need to set the parent activity here. So go to this app manifest, and from here inside the add note activity, I want to set the metadata, and Android name, it will be Android dot support dot parent activity, and the value is main activity. So close this, and now we'll be able to use the back button. So let me run the app and show you. Okay, go to the add activity, and now you can see new note and the plus and back button, right? So but this back button is displaying in black color, so we'll set that color to. So instead of let me set that to white color. Go to activity main, and in our toolbar I want to set the theme for that. So I want to set this dark action bar theme. It will set every thing including title and the back button to white. So let me run this and show you. Okay, go to add activity, and now you can see everything is in white, so it is looks much better than before. So now we can start getting the value from the node title, node details, and we'll insert that into the database. Okay, finally. Okay, now it's time for insertion of the data into the database, but before that we need a function that can handle the insertion into the database. So for that, I'm going to go inside this node database file that we have created at the beginning, and here I'm going to create one more method called add node. Okay, so let me call it as public it will return long and add node. It will take the node as a parameter, that this node will contain all the information like title, details, date and time of the newly created node, and it will send that node from add node activity to this node database. And here we will insert the data inside this add node. Okay, so for that we need to create our SQL, we need to call our SQL database. we need to call SQLite database. So SQLite database db new, this dot get. There is two options here, get readable and writable. So if you simply want to read the data, you can call readable database, but here we are writing the data, so it is better you call get writable database, right? So now we need to collect the data that come from node class, right? This node class. So this node class will contain all the data. So we need to put that into a value, and we need to set that value to the title, details, and all the data that come from the node class. So for that, we need to use content values. Let me call it as C new content values. So this content value create a dictionary like structure, and using this we can set the value of key, title, all the keys that we have created, key, title, content, date, and we can set our value to that key. Okay, so it will create the dictionary key value pairs, or I don't know, in Java maybe it is called as map or something. So it is dictionary. So for key title, we'll say node dot get title, right? We need to call put method first. Okay, so same say dot put for all the key that we have created, content node dot get content, c dot put key dot date, it will get date, and the last one c dot put key time node dot get time. Okay, and at the end we need to insert the data. So it will if the data is inserted successfully, it will return the long value of the primary key, long value as the primary key. So that will be ID in our case. Now we need to call db.insert method, and here we need to pass few arguments. You can see we need to pass the table, that is database table, and we need to pass the null column hack, so it will be null, and the last one is we need to pass the value. Okay, so that will be C. So if the content is inserted successfully, it will return the ID, okay, ID of that node. So if it is this one is first, it will display 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log this ID, and so that we can find out if it is inserted or not. If the if any error occurred while inserting the node into the database, it will return -1. So by the value of this ID, we can determine if the data is inserted or not. So I'll just call it inserted, and here I'll display the ID, and we'll use the ID variable. Okay, and at last we need to return something, that is ID, because it is expecting long to return, so I'm returning long ID. Okay, so now using this add node function, we can add new node from the add node activity from here. So we'll save our data whenever the save button is clicked. So we need to call that method here, in call that add node method inside this save button, right? So let me do that. Okay, now we need to get the data from this node title and node details field. So whenever user write the content of title and details, we'll get that content and we'll put that into the database. So for that we can use get text method. Okay, so here first I'm going to create node. Let's simply call it as node, new node, and for this we are going to use the constructor without any ID. Remember that I said whenever we are inserting the data, we don't have any ID, right? After inserting the data, it will return the ID from the table. So here we need to set the title first. So for that title, we have a node title as our field, and we'll use get text to get the current content of the data, current text that is entered into that field, and we need to convert that to a string. Second thing, node details, and same thing, we'll get the text and convert that to the string. Third thing is date. So we have a variable today's date, right? And the last one is time. So we have current time. So these are the data. Now our node class is created, instance of node object is created with the value of node title, node details, date, and time. Now we need to insert this into the database, but before that we need to call our database. Okay, so I'll call our database, node database. I'll create the object of node database. Let me call it as db and new this dot. I need to create new instance of the database. So node database, new node database, this. So we are passing context here. Now I can insert the query, and now I can insert the data. So db dot add node function that we had just created, and I can pass the node. Okay, so this node we have created here. So this node is passed through this add node function. So whenever we pass this method, it will come here and it will contain all the information. So we'll set the values of the content, key, content, date, and time using the get title, get content, and get date method, and we'll insert that into the database. So now if we run this app, we should be able to insert the data into the database, and we'll confirm that by using this inserted ID. So if we get 1 as a ID, that means we have successfully inserted the data into the database. If we get -1, then some error occurred. So we'll see what happens. So let's run this app. Okay, go to the add activity, and here let me say it hello world. New details. Okay, so now I'll just click on this save button, and it should insert the data into the database. So let me click that. Save button is appearing. Now I'll go to the log, and we'll see if the data is inserted or not. So let me check that tag, inserted. Yes, here you can see ID is 1. That means we have successfully inserted our data. So if some error has occurred, then it will display here as -1. So now our database have one data, one node that we can display in our recycler view. Before doing that, you may have noticed here, if I click on this save, it is not going back to the main activity. So I need to fix that first. So go to the add node add class, and whenever this is clicked, I'm going to call on back pressed. Okay, and let me create that on back pressed method here. Okay, so for now it will work. So let me add another, let me run this and add another node. So we'll have 2 nodes in the database, so that we can finally start showing that to the recycler view, because till now our recycler view is not displaying anything, right? Because we didn't have anything in our database. So let me check it again. Add new data. Let me call it as new node. No details. Let me click on this, save, and it should go back to the main activity. And whenever somebody click on delete button or say discard button, I also need to call the same thing, and the note not saved, right? So if you see the logcat again, we are seeing this ID equals to 2 because we just saved another note into the database. So this is this. Okay, so Now I can retrieve this data from the database and start displaying this in our recycler view. But for that also we need to create method, like just like add node method, we need to create another method that will retrieve all the data from the database to the our list view or something like that. Okay,